Hey guys, Javert here for HitFilm. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create that colorful shimmering wall from the movie Annihilation. This is a more detailed version of the tutorial that we hosted on Film Riot's channel, so be sure to check that out, especially if you like jokes. This effect is possible in both HitFilm Pro and Express, so let's get started. The first thing we need to do is create the distortion map that the caustics effect will use. I'll make a new composite shot and a new plane. Drop on the fractal noise effect. In the controls panel, change the type to wood. Now add the polar warp effect. Drop down the controls and checkmark reverse. I'll decrease the range and adjust the rotation to place the texture where I want it to be in the scene. Decrease the end radius to have it stretch past the top of the frame. To make this move, go back into the fractal noise settings. Under Transform, activate keyframes for the position property. Skip to the end of the timeline, and change the X or Y value to something in the hundreds. You're able to change the look of this fractal noise by adding another layer on top and changing the blend mode. In this case, I duplicated the plane, changed the fractal noise type to fluid, and set the blend to soft light. There isn't really a defined technique for this. There are dozens of parameters that can be changed, and each will affect the look of the final caustics. Keep in mind that this distortion map is what drives this whole comp. A small change here will result in a bigger change in your final composite. In my final shot, I ended up creating another grade on top with the chrominator effect. This adds more distortion and randomness to the texture. Back in the main composite shot, drag the fractal comp from the media panel into the timeline. I'll create a new grade and drop on a blur effect. This is to diffuse the background before we add anything else. Drop on the caustics effect. Down in the height map category, set the layer to the fractal noise composite from earlier. It'll distort the image based on the black and white values of the texture comp. I'll set the environment map to use the background footage, so that it takes on the color of it. The next step is to mask out the grade so that it only affects a portion of the footage. In this case, I'll restrict the caustics up to the ground in the shot here. Rotoscoping out the actors was another tutorial in itself, which will be coming out next week, so stick around for that. For now, I'll just draw a rough mask around them so that you can see through. We have a slight problem with the caustics effect. It's created a sort of transparent border around the edge of the shot. To fix this, add a shake effect to the same grade. Set the amount to 0. And then use the scale property to grow the distortion until it fills the screen. A radial blur effect can soften the edges and keep the middle relatively sharp. Turn it down so that it's more subtle. The next composite shot we're going to make is the colored overlay. Let's save a little bit of time, and copy and paste the original fractal noise layer from the other composite into this one. Change the type to fluid, and in the transform settings, scale it down to 50 pixels. Duplicate this fractal noise effect and change the type to colored clouds. Depending on how close the colored wall is to your camera, you might need to change the scale to get the appropriate amount of color. I'll go ahead and keyframe the seed property here. This will change the color over time, in addition to having it move. In the appearance section, set the blend to overlay. In the main comp, drag in the colored composite shot and set the blend to overlay. Feel free to play around with the blend mode. There are a lot of different types and each one will give you a unique look. Copy and paste the masks from the caustics grade onto this colored one. The final grade is what's going to tie this all together. Film Riot did the grade themselves since it's their sketch, so I'll just give you a few things that will work no matter what your final grade turns out to be. The first is using anamorphic lens flares. These are in HitFilm Pro by default, but if you're using Express, you'll need to purchase the atmospheric lighting pack. Turn down the threshold so that most everything is affected. Then adjust the intensity as needed. If you want to increase the length of the flares, drop down Streak 1, and you'll find more options there. You can also turn them horizontal if you wish. Next up is a regular glow effect. This is to soften the light and spread it out more. I'll increase the threshold, and then the radius. Duplicate this glow and adjust the settings so that it's more even across the whole screen. Make sure that for both effects you lower the intensity to prevent the whites in your shot from getting too blown out. We'll use a curves effect to stylize the shot some more. Staying on the RGB channel, I'll add some contrast and very slight brightness. Going into the red channel, decrease the shadows a bit to give it a more teal-green color. Keep in mind that your color is constantly changing throughout the shot, so be sure to play it through, and don't just grade using one frame. You can also add more color through the glows we put on earlier. For the regular glow effects, adjust the per channel intensity controls. There are many different color combinations that are possible, so play around with the effects for a while to find something that you like. Thanks again to Film Riot for having us on their channel. Subscribe to both of us for weekly filmmaking and visual effects tutorials. Before we go, I just want to mention that we are running a spring sale from today, March 29th to April 3rd. Visit the HitFilm store for big discounts, and be sure to check your emails for exclusive newsletter offers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.